Hi, welcome to my channel. This is Frankly K. And today I decided to show you, as the title says, you may or may not have seen, how to make your journal entry, how to make your journal spread more dynamic without using drawings or doodles. Because sometimes you can't draw, or you don't want to draw, or maybe you just don't like, you're not a doodler. You can draw, but you're not a doodler. And so, short of, commissioning artists to do your doodles for you, on side note, always respect the artist's prices for the doodles. So do not haggle them like you're in an open air market. Okay. Anyway, so as you see here, I did some cutouts in that far left corner just for design. It kind of reminded me of an Ankara print, so I really liked it. So I kind of modeled the cutout after some Ankara print shapes. It's very geometric, very West African. Anyway, so then I just layered some construction paper. So that's one of the big things. If you want to make your journal a little more dynamic without the use of doodles or drawings or sketches, color blocks of paper help a lot for me. And so I use construction paper, but construction paper is known to fade really bad in sunlight. Oh, that was my computer telling me about updates that I'm going to ignore. Anyway, so construction paper is known to fade really bad in sunlight. So you can also use crafting paper, but construction paper is significantly cheaper than most craft papers. You can also use magazine cutouts if you're a magazine subscriber like I am. Some of my older issues that I've read and reread again, I'll cut some of the ads up because they have a lot of color block space. But in this spread, you'll see mostly construction paper. You're also going to see some printables, some free printables that the person has left open, copyright free. So that one on the bottom with the apples was vintage labeling from somebody I've mentioned, but you've seen it in a previous video. Actually, I showed you guys these printouts. So then you see some ice creams. There was some transparent background shapes. Same with the flowers, sunflowers you see, and the roses that you see. They're all from like free areas or free providers. And I'm removing everything off the page. I actually took a picture of this mock placement just to remember in general where things will go. It's going to change, so it really didn't matter. Anyway, so that's another thing you can use. Free printables from the internet. Photos of things. So I usually print out things like flowers and vintage labels and stuff just because I like the way they look. But back to the lettering that I did. I just did that with Crayola marker. And I don't consider that drawing, but if you do consider it drawing and you have like limited like mobility in your hand, then lettering is out of the question. You can actually get fonts on the internet for a cheap price as well. Some people sell them as low as like $1 or $2 or $5.99 for one set of fonts, and then you can just have it printed out and then somehow, do your thing. But so I just did that. I just lettered that with my Crayola marker, and I'm gonna also use that because I find like different text characters also help with making a page more dynamic. It makes things pop. That's my sister in her hand. I don't know why she just felt like doing that. Anyway, so now I'm just layering things the way I want. Mostly, I wanted the theme for this page was like sugar sweet. So I wanted it to kind of be like sugar sweet geometrics. I don't know. That was the concept that I came up with. So I wanted everything to be like kind of really colorful, but clean-ish. I don't really know. But I was just going with a feeling of how I liked it layered. I wanted to layer some construction pieces, and that's another thing. to make things more dynamic. Don't be afraid to layer some of your color blocks or layer some of your pieces. I'm holding actually lyrics, and that's another thing to help make your spread more dynamic. Printing out lyrics or poems that you really like that go with your feelings for the day. So for me, the theme for your spread. So for me, since the spread was about sweetness and everything, those are lyrics, Nancy Wilson lyrics, and a little tiny picture of Nancy Wilson. That's another thing to add to your spread. Photographs of your favorite people, including people you actually know or people you don't know, like celebrities, like Nancy Wilson, the late Nancy Wilson, recently passed. And it was actually really sad for me because she was, growing up, one of the people I really liked. I don't know why I was always into jazz, but she was one of the people I was introduced to basically by watching The Cosby Show. And I used to think, or I still think really, that her voice was the epitome of like grown womandom. Like it was so deep and like luxurious. I was determined to like sound like her. So when I was little, I had the notion that, women were supposed to have deep voices, and I couldn't stand how high pitched my voice was. Not in a detrimental way, but it was more just like I wanted to hurry up and hit puberty so that I too could have a deep woman voice. That never happened, obviously. And it's fine because everyone has their voice, but I really liked hers. That's another printout, actually, of just some lips. I thought they really fit here because of the lyrics I was going to put on that side of the page. Speaking of lyrics, Nancy Wilson's The Song lyrics are basically all about how her love is so strong. She doesn't even need a photograph because all she has to do is think of them, and it feels like they're there with her, basically. And I really like how sweet that love song. It's like a love song. It's not like a love song. It is a love song, and it's really sweet. So I added it to the page. And there's more lettering. I layered it on top of a piece of the vintage label and some flowers. I'm actually sticking more flowers over there in the corner because there was a little baby on that label, and I just wanted to cover them because they didn't fit with what was going on. They didn't fit the concept of my page, so I covered the baby with a rose. Bye, baby. And then I'm just going to place the other rose there for some fake continuity. And, yes, back to photos. So photos help make things more dynamic in your journal. And keep in mind, it's your journal. It's for expressing yourself. It's for memories or whatever you want this journal to be. This is my catch-all journal, so it's both for expressing some intense feeling or fangirling or getting out some emotions or just making memories, of time, like where my headspace was in time. So right now I'm doing Sweet Sweet Love because I was really feeling just into sweet, sweet love, whether it was fake or not. And that's why I also choose Jam Jam in that corner, because Jam is the name of an IU song where the whole song is her talking about, she wants something, sweet like love, but she doesn't care if it's not real. She's just going to pretend so that she can feel it for the moment. And so that's another reason. Oh, also, you're seeing that right above the lips, it says "We're bringing sugar." It's that's from the newspaper. So newspaper cutouts I use a lot because there's some great photography in the newspaper, and I use that a lot. And my thing, I usually, and great headlines, like little titlings and stuff that I really like putting as subtitles in my catch-all journals and stuff. So, but for photos, I usually cut out the credits as well, because for some reason I feel like I shouldn't take the photo out of the newspaper if I'm not going to take who did it. You don't have to cut out the credits, but at least jot them down, because that was somebody's work that you appreciated, right? So you should just make a note to yourself of the person who did it. And so I usually cut the credits out and paste it with the picture. So anyway, yeah, and then so back to photos. There's photos of me because, again, this is your journal and you're making memories. And so I use pictures of myself a lot, like selfies or something, or that I take either with a self timer or just holding a phone up to the mirror, because I feel like I honestly wish from my diaries when I was like a preteen and a teenager that I took more pictures. Like, of course, the cameras weren't on phones back then, or at least the phones that regular people could afford. But over here in the States anyway, we didn't have, camera phones weren't that accessible, like, at all in the late 90s, early 2000s. So or they weren't that accessible to me. Maybe I shouldn't speak so broadly. Anyway, the point is, I just wish we did have cameras and we had Polaroids. I had a waterproof camera. Actually, my parents had, because I said I was into photography, and when they brought me a waterproof camera, and I used to run around taking pictures of everything. But I didn't take many pictures. I took pictures of like my family, and sometimes I took pictures of me, but I wish I included more of those pictures in my journals and more everyday pictures, just a random picture of the day, just because it would have made for something really nice to look back on. Like, oh, that's what I looked like that day. Oh, that's what I used to love wearing, just bring up memories that way. So as I got older, I started really valuing taking selfies, because in years to come, you can look back on those things and really see yourself kind of grow, and also just see how you were back then. It's always really nice to see. Like, reading my journals was fun, and I wish I had more pictures to go with it. But I was like one of those awkward teens that hated being photographed unless I was really up to it that day. Anyway, I'm just sticking on some ice cream cones because I just wanted to use them, and it went with the whole sugar sweet theme. And of course, to make your journal entry dynamic, you don't have to do as much as I did here. I just like the way that looked. I really wanted to make it like Sugar Factory, You don't have to do as much layering or anything, but just taking the components you do like dynamic titling, that you can print out, printing out lyrics, photos of your favorite celebrities or yourself. I recommend more photos of yourself so you can get used to looking at yourself if you can do that. What's it called? And then copyright free, like, things. So as you can see, I left lots of room for actual text and journaling. Right now I'm just like fixing the ice cream. I'm not liking how it's sitting, and I put a piece of yellow underneath it just because I wanted to carry yellow into that portion of the page. And actually, it's driving me crazy that bottom is not finished yet, but I wanted to just show you guys all the places you can journal. You could actually add something there on the bottom of that black, and like add a piece of paper, because writing on construction paper isn't always like the best idea, just because of how construction paper, the texture of it kind of absorbs ink and bleeds it in a weird way. So I don't know, you can try it if you want. But I left a lot of blank space on the page for actual journaling, like you writing down simple things like just an itinerary of what you ate, or what you did that day, or what you wore that day, how you felt that day, and stuff like that. I'm going to fill that with lyrics and some poems and stuff. Because my catch-all journal, that's the theme that was happening here. So yeah, that's pretty much all the tips I have. I kind of rambled in and out about it, but right now I'm just going to add a bit more things to my liking, pretty much. I'm going to add another little block of selfies down there in that corner as well. And I just wanted to add more shapes. So when it comes to journaling style, actually, I guess I can take this moment to talk about that. Oops. I didn't turn the sound off on this part. I just exclaimed, oh no, it's too big, my photo. Anyway, yeah, so when it comes to journaling style, I would just say you don't necessarily have to find your style right when you're journaling. I don't really think I've actually found my style, or I don't think I can actually pin my style as a thing outside of just what I like at the moment. And maybe that's a style, impulse. So I guess you could say my style is kind of conceptual. So if I need a concept, and I do like layering a lot. I don't know if that's a style or rather a technique. Like layering is a thing you do. Anyway, but you don't have to, I don't think you have to find your style right away. I think that's something that will show itself to you as you keep doing the things that come naturally to you. And then you can also push yourself to do things that you normally wouldn't do, just to see how you feel about it. And maybe you'll discover a new part of yourself that you didn't know you had in you. Stuff like that. And I think that's how you find out what your style is, just by doing and reviewing. That was nice. Yes, so doing and reviewing. So just do what feels right when it comes to your journaling style. You can take inspiration from others. You can follow what others do just to see if it's something you like doing, but it's always going to come out a little different, I think, because you're not them. And you shouldn't feel bad about that. You should feel good that you is bleeding through, even when you're trying to adopt something that you do like. That makes it more authentic. So yeah, don't worry about a journaling style, and just worry about doing what feels... Oh, I didn't mute this part either. For goodness sake. So yeah. There it is. Oh, it's out of focus. But basically, that's my finished spread to my liking. I added another, that little cube of pictures of me and a little bit of shape coming out of it. So now I'm adding a bit of washi tape, because I got this washi tape at Walmart. And I actually am a newbie with washi tape. I didn't use it before because I couldn't really... I didn't know what to do with it. Then I decided to just do whatever I want with it. And I didn't know what that was until I just started sticking it to the side of paper. And so that's what you see me doing here, sticking it on the side, and then I'm going to use it kind of like a border. And those are the IU lyrics up there at the top. Random bubble letters. As you can tell, I'm not good at lettering, but I don't think I'm that bad. Anything takes practice. And I feel like with the supplies that I have, I've done pretty all right. I'm not going to call my lettering ugly because it's what I can do. So, I mean, you might feel like it's ugly, but, I don't have to. So here I'm just actually transcribing a French poem that I read and I wanted to talk about because, one, it fit the concept, and two, because I really liked it. And it has its translation in English on... oh no, I forgot the website. But it's an old poem. It's an old poem, and I actually was reading an analysis, or not a review, but when somebody's like a critique, but not a critique, but like it is kind of a critique when you're taking apart the poem and explaining different pieces of it. I read it on JSTOR.org, and I'm gonna look up the name and try to put it at the bottom here. But the article was basically just talking about the poem and how it was perceived as a love poem, but in effect, it was more probably a poem about friendship and gratitude. And I mean, that's its own kind of love, but the way that it reads to the everyday person, it read like a romantic love poem. And so, yeah, I guess that's all for today because I forgot to film the rest of it. I just add one of my own poems on the other side, and that was basically it. So I'll see you guys next time. This is my first voiceover, and it was kind of weird. I hope you liked it. All right, bye.